Welcome, everyone, to the webinar from Wytria. Today, we're going to talk about making your life much easier managing multi-tenant Microsoft 365 environments, which is probably one of the biggest challenges of your IT administrators at every CSP, MSP. My name is Carl Sand. I'm the product marketing manager here at Wytria, and I'm joined happily, thankfully, by our actual founder and CEO. He got out of his other big meetings and agreed to join us and do the demonstration today. Eric, you want to go ahead and say hello?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. So, yep. Hello.
Yeah, so we're going to go through some slides first because most of you probably don't know Wytria, and I'll explain why here in the first couple slides. So just an introduction to us, kind of set the stage on what's going on in the world of administration for Microsoft 365. And then we'll jump right into a solution overview and a demonstration of the Sapio 365 product, finish up with next steps, and then go into Q&A. So we should have plenty of time to go through everything. I would like to remind you to put your questions into the chat window when they come up, right? So I don't want you to wait till the very end, till section 6, the Q&A, and then try to, you might forget about what your question was. So please put them into the chat window, and then Eric and I will keep track of those, and then we'll get them all answered at the very end, and maybe actually Eric will share his screen out and show you an explanation and actually how the system works to answer your question. So agenda. Once again, introduction to Wytria, who we are, how long we've been in this business, talk about some of the challenges that you guys are dealing with to administer Microsoft 365, especially in a multi-tenant setting, which you all manage, and then talk about all the different tools that are out there and really what we're hearing from other MSPs. So let me kind of kick things off. Wytria has been doing this tools creation and providing them to MSPs and IT folks all over the world for 22 years now. We got our start in the IBM world, though. That's why most of you probably haven't heard of us. So went really, really well until Microsoft started to take over the market. So we were up to over 2,500 customers in 82 different countries. But then we started to see the trend that Microsoft was really gaining momentum in the collaboration space, and IBM was, our customers were slowly transitioning away from Lotus Notes Domino over into the Microsoft platform. So it made sense for us to take all of our great features and capabilities and port them over to an application for the Microsoft platform to help you guys. And that's what we've done. And it makes sense why. There's no surprise. Microsoft owns the market now. There's over 345 million users of M365, so it's doubled since 2019, and a big reason of that is COVID. Everybody started using Teams when they started to work remotely, so we hit the time, I think, right at the right time when the explosion started to happen. And what we identified right off the bat was, sure, everybody's using it, but it's very difficult to manage this environment. Let me show you a picture as to why. This is what you guys deal with as an MSP. This is what your IT, your lead engineers, your level 1 help desk folks, these are the questions to manage this sprawling environment with a bunch of different tools that Microsoft provides. You have different admin centers, you have PowerShell that Microsoft asks you to write scripts for. There's no real easy one way to see everything, to manage everything together. And we knew this was an issue because Microsoft dealt with it, right? They heard you complaining, and they built a tool called Lighthouse, which tried to do what you guys really wanted, but it's complicated to use. Just last week, I was at an Academy event with 52 MSPs, just like you guys. And they were all struggling with to get Lighthouse, especially the GDAP function, to delegate tasks out to lower level resources. They just couldn't get it to work. And even the one or two that did, it didn't do everything that they really wanted it to do, especially around automation. So that's why we listened. This is what we were hearing from MSPs, not just here in the US or in Canada, but all over the world. They wanted help managing their multi-tenant environments, and the help they were asking for really was in three different main categories. Better administration with a single tool set, a single pane of glass. You guys have heard that term before, to do simplify all the activities that they did. And they wanted better auditing and reporting. They wanted to see all this stuff and be able to quickly and easily go into all the content that's out there. Especially, we've had multiple questions around preparing for Copilot rollouts. They want to audit and clean up all the SharePoint and OneDrive content that's out there before they let Copilot loose and start to index everything. And then better security, of course, and reporting and licensing. They wanted to do a better job proactively managing the licenses of their customers. So these were the things that we were hearing about over and over again when we were designing and building out a tool. And it all led to this, the frustration that you guys are dealing with. I mean, Microsoft would not have built the Lighthouse tool if this wasn't a reality. So we know it is. We know your techs are struggling, frustrated, doing manual updates or writing PowerShell scripts to get a bunch of stuff done, constantly switching between different admin center portals or logging on, logging off, logging on. And there's no easy way to provide access rights to the help desk or to level 1 technicians that you want to do, for the simple tasks, the common easy tasks like changing passwords or, blocking access, simple stuff like that. Unless you give out global admin rights, and nobody wants to do that. So we knew there was an opportunity to build a solution set. So we did. We designed and built a universal administration tool set that gives you full visibility, full control, helps you find and troubleshoot all the issues that are out there in your environment quickly and get them fixed, get them remediated. There's some examples right there. Find the people that have the incorrect MFA settings and fix them, close those security issues. Find people auto-forwarding their mail outside of the domain, outside the organization, and fix it. Anonymously shared files. There's all kinds of little needles in a haystack within a Microsoft cloud environment to fix. And then bulk updates, onboarding, offboarding, changes to attributes, permissions. Don't do it one at a time. It takes forever. And then, of course, delegate admin tasks downstream. So you can enable the help desk or, level 1 techs to perform the more simple common tasks. You don't want your expensive senior engineers, just because they're the only ones that have global admin rights, to do all this stuff. So that's the vision or marketing story for the tool set. We always get the question now of like, okay, Carl, great. I love the vision. I like the idea behind that stuff, but what the hell does it do? Can you tell me what the solution actually does and provides? So it was like, okay, we're going to describe it, but we had to just not give you a laundry list of capabilities. Instead, we group them into 4 categories, these 4. So if you want to think about what does this tool do for you to help you out, it helps in these 4 areas. And I'm going to go around the horn real quick and then hand it over to Eric, and he can actually demonstrate some of this stuff. So as you watch each 4 of these categories, be cognizant that that's what is going to show up in the demo, these things. So first of all, administration. How do you automate a lot of the activities you guys do? It's not easy. Onboarding and offboarding, because there's a lot of steps involved in all that stuff. Why not automate it with a job and schedule it so it can run unattended? Clean up old stuff that's out there, delegate tasks down, make bulk updates, all the administration overhead you guys deal with, make it simpler, Get it done in a few minutes, not hours and hours. Then accurate inventory, especially now that Microsoft is changing the licensing around. Teams isn't bundled in there anymore. Teams is separate now. That's going to be a pain in the neck to manage. They now have these NCE licenses that don't go month to month. They're a year now. So how do you manage all that stuff and still find licenses that can be recovered so they're, can be removed from inventory and reduce the costs there? How do you see all that stuff, manage all that stuff, and make it easier? Then security and compliance. Like I said before, there's all kinds of little gotchas in a complicated environment like Microsoft 365. It's not just about the users and their permissions. It's about the groups. It's about the files, the content that's out there. It's about the permission settings. So there's all kinds of stuff, and we help you find it. Right? We have the business, we're gathering all the data. So we have the business intelligence to wrap around that to bring it into, the light, if you will, and give you the insights to get it fixed and, patch those little holes that are out there. Then, of course, auditing and reporting, finishing with the biggest one, everything at your fingertips, all the information together. You don't have to look through, one admin center portal, one keyhole to see this. Export that information to Excel, look over into another admin center portal, pull that information out, and then merge it all together to create your own reports. We do it. We bring all that information together in a single UI, and you can easily switch between different tenants without having to relog in to do reports and summarization. So all this stuff at your fingertips. So why? Well, don't listen to me, listen to this guy. Let me introduce you to Gerben Gouda. He works, he's the service delivery manager for an MSP in the Netherlands. And he's been using our solution now for how long, Eric? Is it just under a year, just over a year?
Almost 2 years, even more than 2 years, I think.
Yeah, almost 2 years. But what he loved about it was a single pane of glass, right? To manage all their different tenants without having to log in and log off and log in, and distribute global admin rights. He needed to delegate tasks down, but he also loved the automation for the scripted jobs that allows to get this stuff done. So he guesstimated, if you read his testimonial there, that they've reduced the time they're spending managing, administering all their tenants. They have about 32 tenants total for the customers, about 1,500 endpoints, but it was cut in half, reduced their time spent by 50%. So one question for everybody in here that we're gonna show you, think about this. We're gonna build this into a poll for future ones, but think about this. How long does it take for you guys currently to fully onboard 5 new users? So it's a Thursday, you've got a list of 5 new employees at one of your customers that you have to onboard. You got to go through all of these different steps, right? Apply the correct MFA settings, put them in the right groups, distribution lists, set up the right AD attribute, give them the right licenses. All that stuff takes time to do manually. And now multiply it times 5 users, and you can now get up into an hour, 2 hours or longer to manually go through all that stuff. So let me hand it over to Eric now, and he can actually show you how we do some of this stuff and automate it and make it easier for you guys.
Yep.
So let me stop sharing,
screen.
Eric. There's the demonstration lamp.
So this is where we are. So I'm in my desktop application, so Sapio 365. That's going to give me a global access to my tenant. So I'm currently an administrator. I logged in using my effective credential. And from there, I will have the ability to have a global vision of all my users in my tenant. So we're talking about all the users at once. No need to go on multiple portals to grab information. Here we're showing more than 200 properties of these users in one place. So we're gathering data from multiple places, and from here, so we show you something like so as I said, so a lot of properties available here. You can choose how you want to see them. So for example, you can at any time add information to the presentation here. So here, for example, I choose to have a vision by using the password last change date, for example, knowing that either you can build that yourself or you can organize the data also. So here, let's say I want to have a vision where I want to see my situation on my signing situation from the license they've been assigned to, and all that by department, which is here. Now you see in just a few clicks I was able to see right away so who is effectively is blocked, what kind of money we're spending for this guy, and what kind of license in which department they are part of. So this, I did that manually, but I can at any time save that to create my own views. So we provide multiple views. So for example, we will have views that show some information about the email, views about the OneDrive, some information so on the consumption of the OneDrive, or you can create your own views. So for example, here I created a view that shows me only the blocked user. All right. So show me only the blocked users with a paid license. So with a license that means something. So to see only on that. I got another one who's going to show me, for example, my MFA. So I want to see what kind of methods they use to log in and when they're logging on Zapier 65 and see some, so for example, methodology I want to get rid. So SMS usually is something that you don't want to keep. So just in a click, you are able to have the information. Let's say I want another one. I want to see the shared mailbox with a license. So I'm going to apply that here. And I will be able to see right away. So all my shared, this is shared mailboxes and which has a license assigned. So maybe I want to change that. So now I'm going to focus on my license user. Currently, the one that means something, which has an effective license. So I was able to see, so to organize the data I'm looking at, but then from here, we have the ability also to do some edition. So let's say, these 4 people here, I want to assign them to another department. So I'm going to click on edit, go on the job information, and now I'm going to call that and say this is going to be the operation department, applying that. And so here you see it shows you the modifications that will occur. So this is the logic behind Zapier 365. So it will show you what's going on. So what you ask to change when you're okay with what you're looking at, you can apply and simply make your modification and apply your modification to the tenant. So so as you can see, we have multiple modifications available here. So all the action available, so can be mass modification properties, create users, set manager, etc. But sometimes the problem is that, like for example, onboarding, you require to do multiple actions, at the same time. So here, let's say I have 2 new users. So I have here my 2 users. The only information I had is mostly first name, last name, display name, and the usernames they will have. And so I want to onboard these 2 new users in my environment. And for that, I want to already apply the same thing. So I'm the same things than from other colleagues. So I'm going to use here River and Rose, who are both part of the outbound sales department. And I'm going to use this guy as a template. So I'm going to click on onboarding. So it's going to show me, it's going to load the information about these users. And then after it's going to show me a menu where I can choose. So this is the user, this is the file I'm currently working on. I'm going to choose to use the default attributes that we can have from these users. So I'm going to use that here. I'm going to I want to assign the same license, the same group. I want to assign a specific manager on the fly. So I'm going to assign this guy, for example. And I will get a report on the user. So while I'm going to launch that, so what's going to do Zapier 65 is going to go and gather the information about my selection, my template. So here it's checking, so what kind of license. So he found that there was a license available. Now he's looking at the groups, and he's gathering the groups the user are member of. And from there, after that, it will show me the information about the file I selected. So I selected the file I'm going to use and import. So use this file. So as you can see, he already found some matching. So you can choose your own matching. So display name, username, first name. So this is what I'm going to use from my file. I'm going to launch that. So multiple steps. First step is going to create the user. Then once the user has been, because to be able to assign the group, you have first to save it first. So then after, when the user has been created, the group and the license, we can see the license is being assigned automatically to these users. So in fact, here what we does, so it automates. So this is why you see the screen moving, because you effectively see what Sapio 65 is doing for you. It's what we call the job automation. So it's automatically gathering the groups, assigning the groups, saving the information. Now is assigning the manager to the user. And once this is done, it's going to do another load of verification. And so this is where it's loading the details about the information for the manager. And
wow, so basically it's a multiple tasks that have been linked together in a single scripted job, right?
Exactly. All the tasks that the job is currently doing, you could do them manually or by them individually. So here in 2 minutes 27 seconds, I created two new users where has been assigned a license assigned to two groups. I save up the manager, and I also have an Excel file that has been created. So if I'm going to close that, and it's going to show me an Excel file where I will have all the information about what happened, and I will have the information about the password, so I can send them the password to them. So for the onboarding itself. So the idea is really to go faster. After that, the same way we will have the offboarding. So here, for example, so we have the same kind of logic for onboarding. I won't go through it, but the same here, the same idea. You have a choice of multiple action you can do. So as you can see, you can block signing, reset password, create the account as a shared mailbox, assign some delegation to this new shared mailbox, remove license, remove the role, remove groups, download the OneDrive, eventually assign the OneDrive to a team channel. So it's really a full menu. Knowing that this action here can be done from a selection, but the interesting part about these jobs here is that the job can also be done on a more global scale. And for example, here we have a global job here with called deactivate selected user that gives you the ability to do a deactivation of users on a selection of users you're going to name. And the interesting part is then you will be able to schedule that. So you will be able to schedule a certain date when the effective deactivation of the user will occur. Everything I did here, so it was mostly focused on the users, but as you can imagine, I can do exactly the same thing on everything about groups and teams. So here's the same global vision of all my groups, all my teams, and from there I will have the ability to do modification. I will have the ability to do reporting. I will have the ability to go further, manage the members, the owners, the files, the channels. So to be able to navigate through the data inside of that. All that here has been done in one, so I'm currently logged in with the admin, but in fact, I'm currently logged in on 3 sessions at the same time, meaning that currently I have open multiple tenants. So I have another tenant, which is, for example, the tenant for Whitetria. So I'm currently here, you're looking at the registered device of Whitetria at the same time. So from here, I have the same ability to do some manipulation, research, and everything. So if I activate my Whitetria here, and since Whitetria is a partner, we have access to some customers. So from there, I can even open some new session and still keeping the other one open, and I can open a new session and see, for example, the user of this customer tenant right away. So I'm directly in it and being able to work on them.
And it doesn't ask you to log into that other tenant. It knows automatically.
Yep, because it used a partner access session to be able to go there, definitely.
Yep.
There is an interesting part also with Zapier 65 is we provide the ability to give some access, some role-based access control to the tool on multiple levels. The main idea is you define a credential, a high-level credentials, and after you're going to provide with defining some scope. So what the user will be able to use this credential on what, and more importantly, is going to be able to give you the ability to define, in fact, what the user will be able to with that. For example, here I have a role that gives only the information on the user, and the only action you will be able to do is to edit the password or revoke the access. So this is a session I already have open currently. And if I go and look at what he has, so we can see that he only see the user who are in the engineering department, and the only thing I can do on this environment is reset password, revoke access. I don't have the ability to edit the users or to navigate through the details about these users.
Yeah.
So it's a
let me
real
just
fine.
recap this because this is important. Can you go back to that one screen, that view that you showed, just the users in the engineering department?
So it's going to be which is there?
Yeah, so just to make sure you guys understood, the role-based access control isn't just controlling what the help desk person or the other level 1 admin can do. It actually constrains what they can see, right? So you can filter it and only give them visibility into certain users. So if you're a large MSP and you're regional, you can divvy out kind of oversight and administration rights this granularly down to the different tenants. So it's really, really powerful. Thanks, Eric.
I see there is a question about what happens if there is not enough license. So before doing any jobs, before continuing the job, first we're going to analyze. So it's going to check how many users you want to create, and after that, if he sees that there is not enough license, it's going to show you a warning saying, "Beware, there is not enough license. Do you still want to continue, or do you want to reset that differently?" So it will warn you before going through the process.
Right, and it identifies the type of license that it's trying to assign based on the template user you selected.
He's going to use a selected user to know which license he wants to assign.
Right.
And
so if it's an E3, say it's an E3 license, and you have a lot of E1 licenses available, but you don't have E3 licenses available, then it's going to give you that warning message, correct?
It's going to tell you don't have enough E3, so you have to change your selection.
Yep, good. Thanks, Eric.
Another case, an interesting case that has been asked is about, so being able to assess the situation on your SharePoint sites for the Copilot, the new trendy thing from Microsoft, the Copilot that everybody wants to. Well, Microsoft is pushing for it, but then there is some
Microsoft wants everybody to use it. Yeah,
that for sure. There is a lot of money on that. So, but the problem is that this can have a lot of consequences, because the way it works is that so Copilot is stupid, even if it's artificial intelligence, and is going to feed himself on whatever he can find in the environment. So usually the first thing to do is you want to assess a bit what is currently my situation, what is there. So a good example is that here. So let's say I'm going to select my 3 tenants here. My 3 sites here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to load and have a quick vision of the content. So what are the files inside of the tenant? Knowing that I can do that on multiple sites at once. So here already I have a vision of where the file when has been created, when they have been modified. So I can use all my filter capacity in the tool to be able to pinpoint of what I'm looking at. And also the same, I can have the ability to see how this has been shared. So do we have some specific shared outside shared permissions that have been provided on the file? So here I'm going to load. So I ask to load the permission. I'm going to do a grouping by target. Here we are. And so by here, I can see that, for example, I got some anonymous share that has been done on this file. So you see here, I got anonymous share with no names. Uh, I got direct access that has been provided to a specific group, some anonymous links that has been provided for some users. So it gives me a direct situation of what is my situation on the site drive. Knowing that this is a site drive, it's going to be the same for a Teams drive, it's going to be the same for a OneDrive. So you have this ability to analyze and to check what is currently the situation on your environment, and you have the ability to clean stuff. So for example, if I want to remove this specific shard I don't want to see anymore, I will be able to do that from here.
And you can also see the dates on the files, the last edited, created dates. So you know what's old, really old content that's out there too, to clean it up. I know that was an issue for the one MSP that was curious about using this in Europe.
You could use definitely a filter that say, okay, I want something, I only want to see what is sooner than or later than, so to be able to filter down on the
so
recent one.
Yeah, filter it just on stuff that's over 4 years old, 5 years old, and then rectify those. That's really cool, Eric.
That's it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there's other stuff. I know, apologies, guys. This tool does a lot. That's why it's difficult to demo it in a short time during a webinar session like this. So let me jump back into the slides, and then we'll go to the Q&A session real quick. If you want to stop sharing your screen, I'll start sharing mine. Cool. Is it coming up okay, Eric?
Yep.
Cool. Well, you guys saw it in action, guys. It's a multi-tenant admin interface, a single pane of glass, gives you visibility into everything, not just the user information, but groups, team sites, content, and SharePoint, OneDrive, everything at your fingertips. And we definitely think it'll reduce the amount of time you have to spend as an administrator, or your team does, managing multiple tenants by at least 25% or more. And you don't have to write any PowerShell anymore. And it installs really, really quickly. 10 minutes and you're set up and ready to go. Eric, you want to talk real quick about the simplicity of the tool set and the
Sure.
way it's installed and deployed?
So it's a desktop application you put on your own computer. So there is no third-party servers that need to have access to your environment or to the environment of your customers. So it's really a desktop application. You download, install that on your computer. You launch it, and then the only thing you have to is to select and to enter your credential. I'm not sharing anymore, but
that's okay. So, they know.
So you click to open a session, and the first thing you will see the usual Microsoft where you enter your credential, and that's it. You're inside, and you're able to navigate through it. So there is no complex installation, complex gathering, complex. You don't have to wait. So it's really right away.
Thanks, Eric. So as far as next steps go, guys, we'd love to have you try this out. So we have what's called a guided trial, where we give you access for a week or two, work with you, give you kind of documented steps to try out the different stuff, and links to videos where you can see how it works and then try it yourself on your data or one or two of your customer tenants. And another question that we get a lot as part of this kind of how does this work, how much automation is in there. Eric, can you talk real quickly about the number of jobs that are already created for automating all their usual steps? How many are available out there? You showed a few for onboarding and offboarding, but I know there's a bunch more.
We have about 180 jobs today available on the global access. Some job can be even launched and run on multiple tenants at once. So you could schedule a job to go on multiple tenants and grab and create a kind of a global status situation of all these tenants in one place. And this is something that is growing because you can create your own jobs. So you have the ability to create your own jobs, and we regularly add new jobs depending on requests we get from customer for sure.
Thanks, Eric. And we do have a special channel program for partners, MSPs that want to sign up. It's special pricing and really a more white glove treatment to get it installed, trained on how to use it for a multi-tenant environment, because this tool is extremely powerful. As you guys can see there, we want to make sure you guys get the most out of it. And then if you do want to understand the whole security architecture of the solution and how it works, we can set up a deep dive technical demo if you want to go that.
There was a question from Earl, so I would like to answer.
Yeah.
Asking about
now's the time. This is the Q&A section.
Okay, so just on time. so the information is live. So you see the modification in memory. So what you see in the grid. So you see what you asked to modify. As soon as you apply, it is sent to Office 365, and this is done. Sapio 365 keeps. So you have the audit log from Office 365 itself, but Sapio 365 keeps its own log. So in all tries, this own log, so about all the action done using the tool, how you do, so who did that, what, and how, knowing that this log can be shared among multiple desktop. We have a collaboration mode that gives you the ability to share among multiple users of Sapio 365 information like logs, some airbag settings, some comments, annotation you may have in the place. So you have a trace. And for the undo, so when you're doing the modification in the grid and you haven't applied, you can at any time do an undo from there. That's an easy one. Once it has been set and sent to Office 365, so the only way to undo is to redo the opposite. So we have the trail. So the idea will be to give you the ability to do that directly from there. So we are working on this specific functionality.
Fantastic.
There is a ticket, if we want to mention that too. So you have the ability to, you can enable a ticketing logic. So every time you do a modification, this Sapio 365 can require that a ticket number is being provided for every action. So you keep a trace and you can match that with your own system, definitely.
Another common question that we get on a regular basis is about the RBAC capabilities. Can you talk a little bit about how granular you can get down to allowing them to do very specific tasks and that's all?
So every single action you can do inside of Sapio 365 is effectively a permission, if we can call that this way. So you can be extremely refined about who the person, as we saw with Lee, the user Lee. The Lee was able to see a certain specific number of users and or groups and teams. And from there, you can really be refined about which kind of actions they will be able to do. So you could, for example, say he will be able to do a modification, but he won't be able to save. So you will have to provide a snapshot of his situation to his manager, so the manager can apply that, for example. So it can be extremely refined and pretty detailed.
And what you mentioned earlier about the available jobs, Eric, I just wanted to make sure that they all understood this. Any activities that you do pretty much within the tool set can become a scheduled job, correct? You can schedule it?
Yeah, you can create any job, and so from the job, and then from this global job, you will have the ability to schedule them for sure.
And explain real quick how the scheduling process works, what it ties into to really, run the timer.
Since it's a desktop application, we are simply using the Windows Task Scheduler for that. So we didn't create our own system. So we're only using what we have currently on Windows. So the advantage of that is then after that you have all the capacity and power of the Windows Task Scheduler itself, and so you can reset, organize that the way you want.
So you can deploy or configure Sapio 365 on a virtual machine and just have that act as the scheduling server?
We have customer who does that, so they created a virtual machine that only does the scheduled job. So it's because they're doing extensive reporting on the OneDrive content, for example. And so for that, so the way to do that, so they have their own Sapio 65 they use for the daily task, and everything that is kind of scheduled on a regular basis, because I think it's every day. So they use a VM for that. So they install Sapio 65 on VM, and the VM just runs the schedule.
Fantastic. And one of the questions I got that I'd like to bring up here, just so everybody knows, is the scalability for the solution. A partner that I talked to last week at that MSP Academy event said that they had 150 different tenants that they manage, over 60,000 endpoints, so really large MSP. I mean, they're all over the country, so their customers are from the West Coast to the East Coast, but about 150 tenants they manage. What's the size of the clients that currently have Sapio 365 deployed, and how does it scale?
The biggest one we have is a school district as today. They manage 250,000 users, and they have about the same number of teams. So, and they use Sapio 65. They're really happy to have Sapio 65 to give them the ability to manage that, because without that, they were unable to go through it. So that's the biggest. So this is the biggest we are managing today. So the 100,000 is definitely something that doesn't scare us. After that, so for sure, if you have the number of tenants, we don't care because it's just a session, so you can open as you want. If you want to have open 100 session at the same time, sure, please do. There is no restriction on that, and so yeah. So after that, the only thing is that for sure is when you get with 100,000 of users, the bottleneck here is going to be Microsoft mostly. Very quickly in this situation, Microsoft is the bottleneck all the time.
Right. So you just need enough memory on whatever machine you're running it on to handle that many different windows open.
But you don't need a Cray one if this still exists. But you don't need a Cray one. You just need a computer with not the minimal memory you can have on Windows. But usually today when you buy a computer, you get some pretty strong machine right away. So yeah.
Fantastic. Eric, I can't see the chat window. Are there any other questions coming in, or
There was a question at the beginning from Earl about the Teams voice. So today we are not having anything because we use the Graph API, and the Teams voice is kind of something they didn't generated everything. So we're looking at working with Microsoft on that to get this kind of funneling data we can get from there. But yeah, this is a target to provide at least reports, because we want to know. It's like I'm expecting to get soon access to some reporting about the Copilot usage, so we'll be able to provide that directly inside of Sapio 65 the same.
Great. So we pretty much keep up with whatever Microsoft provides data-wise through the Graph API and make that available. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone.